Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Variable Play Network. I am Happy J. Today, this is going to be the second episode. This is Sunday Night Magic. Hopefully, this will become a regular thing. I'll have an intro video and other things set up for you to make this more professional. So, for today, we are talking about a upcoming Magic set that is going to be standard legal, meaning that it is part of the normal Magic the Gathering rotation for competitive play and such. So last week I did talk about a set that just came out called Modern Horizons 2. But that is, let's say, a specialized or auxiliary set really meant for the modern format of Magic. But today we're going to be talking about the very first crossover expansion for Magic the Gathering. I believe this is going to be the 88th expansion for Magic the Gathering. Yeah, it has that many expansions. And it is a tie in with another property of Wizards of the Coast known as Dungeons and Dragons. And we will be talking about the Dungeons and Dragons crossover set with Magic the Gathering known as Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. So, I'm going to be going over a couple of cards, some art, some new mechanics, and things that they've thrown in to make this unique from other Magic sets and to give you an idea of what to expect. The set is slated to release at July 23rd, so it's less than a month away before it shows up. Spoiler season hasn't started yet, but they have put out several cards already to get people excited, and that's what we're going to go over today. So for fans of Dungeons and Dragons, you're going to be treated to some characters that you have read about from the books and also have played maybe side by side with. So some NPCs that these are more of the famous or noteworthy characters in Dungeons and Dragons lore. So to give you an example, this is the first one that I'm going to be showing. So it's Drizzt. Am I pronouncing that right? Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say it's Drizzt. I didn't know his last name was Duorden, but that's pretty cool. So they've turned Drizzt as an Elf Ranger into card form. So essentially, this set will be bringing in pretty much the namesake characters of a lot of the books in Dungeons and Dragons. So we'll actually get to touch a little bit of that later on with some of the other images that I have prepared. Now, also, as part of Magic the Gathering's recent practices, they have been including specialty or alternate art or extended arts and also showcase artwork. So there will be versions of this card that probably in their collector booster packs that will come in a new art style. The art style is to mimic old school Dungeons and Dragons. And to give you an idea, using the same card that you see here on screen, this is what it's going to look like. So it takes the old D&D black and white sketch art and uses that as the card art. So it's essentially the same card. It does have the same abilities. It still makes that 4/1 green cat token. So that would be his pretty much legendary companion as well. So you can, from regular packs of Magic for the D&D Adventures in the Forgotten Realm, be able to get Drizzt. But if you do, put in the extra money to get in the collector packs, you'll be able to you could possibly land the alternate art. Now, along with the heroes, they're also going to be bringing in some of their most notable villains. And when I saw this, I immediately had to add it in. So they have Tiamat. They have put in a dragon god into Magic the Gathering in card form. In terms of abilities, it really goes towards how much you know about the characters. I mean, looking at it here, it is a 7 to cast, 7/7 flying that lets you search up to 5 dragons that are not named Tiamat, and they all go to your hand. That's actually pretty strong because it's essentially adding 5 cards to your hand and also 5 less cards that you could possibly draw. So it has so much potential. I am primarily a commander player, so a 5 color commander dragon deck is something that people might want to consider. It could be fun. 7 is a little slow in terms of my playstyle, but I'm so sure a lot of people are excited for this. Now, just like the Drizzt card that we looked at earlier, Magic the Gathering does have specialty or alternate arts available. So let me show you what the extended art version of this looks like. So this will be available in the collector booster packs as well. So I believe also the set boosters, there's a possibility of getting that. So you can even get this also in foil, which is the hologram version. So this one here, the artwork is stunning. I really like this one. But in terms of the card's abilities, it may not be for me. Moving on, so we have the D&D showcase art. We have borderless full art or extended art here. They are also going to be taking land cards, surprisingly. And I'm going to use this as an example. So Evolving Wilds is a card that has been printed so many times, and they are adding it into like D&D lore, so to speak. But what they're doing special here is that this would be the typical Evolving Wilds that you would get in any Magic pack, maybe with the exception of the artwork. But they're taking the art and the frame, the formatting, and totally changing it. They're going to make the lands for this Dungeons and Dragons set reminiscent of the old adventure books. And to give you an example, this is what Evolving Wilds will look like with the showcase art. So it still is Evolving Wilds, but you can see it looks like the old school Dungeons and Dragons. I think this is maybe first or second ed or advanced Dungeons and Dragons. That there it says Dungeon Module C7. The bottom half is still really all the magic abilities, but the artwork and even the overall feel that it gives you, it looks like a book cover. So this is something definitely for collectors, for fans of the old school Dungeons and Dragons. This is something that they would be looking forward to having. So you have the black and white sketch art, and now you also have the module artwork for lands. There is one more example floating around the internet right now. I believe it's for the Den of the Bugbear, but the image quality is not really something that I would have wanted to show. So it's very grainy when you scale it up for screen resolution. But spoilers will be coming in soon. But I definitely wanted to share this with everyone because this artwork or this style of making the lands look like classic module manuals is awesome. Now, everything I've been showing you so far has been aesthetic. They are making cards, they are making legends, but what exactly is this set going to have that's going to be different from other Magic the Gathering expansions? Most sets do come with their own specific, I want to say, abilities. It really depends on the theming. Hey, we got a comment. Hey, hi, Mark. Thank you for joining us. Yes, you know what? The art styles that they have for this set is amazing. Now, I just really wish that a lot of the cards were like mind-blowingly good. But we'll see. I'll go over the spoiler count that exists towards the end, but it's actually a very, very small amount right now. So let's circle back to the mechanically unique abilities for this set. I'm going to be using a card as an example. This here is Nadar Selfless Paladin. They have created a Dragon Knight. So yes, the Dragonborn, I'm going to say species, or race that exists in D&D lore is now adopted into Magic. Dragons typically are like beasts, or they don't really have subtypes other than maybe a dragon wizard. So this is the first time I'm seeing a Dragon Knight in Magic. So there is potential for that moving forward. Now, casting cost and everything aside, it's a white creature, it has vigilance. This is all typical Magic abilities that already exist. But if you look through the center text of this card, Whenever Nadar, Selfless Paladin, enters the battlefield or attacks, venture into the dungeon. So it says here in a reminder text in parentheses that you enter the first room or advance to the next room. This doesn't exist anywhere in Magic. There is no such thing as venturing the dungeon until now. So this is going to be a unique mechanic added into this set, and it does have effects. I can get into that into the next cards, but there are also benefits that come with the other cards that relate to it, such as this Paladin. The bottom half of the card or the bottom text says other creatures you control get +1/+1 as long as you've completed the dungeon. So this card serves as two examples for the mechanics. One for actually entering and venturing in the dungeon, and then what happens when you complete the dungeon. So that's two different topics covered by this. Now, you may be wondering, what is a dungeon and what exactly does it mean to venture? They have put out 3 dungeons for this set thus far. I mean, based on the announcement, I hope they make more. The variety will always be something that fans of Magic and D&D will appreciate. But to give you an idea of what it looks like, this here is a dungeon. This is the Lost Mine of Fandover. Am I pronouncing that right? D&D friends, please help me. Correct me if I'm pronouncing that right. This card is essentially like a token. Okay, so you can see on the bottom left it does have a T icon. This isn't part of your deck of Magic cards. This is not considered sideboard or anything like for tournament legal purposes. Basically, it's a card that just sits outside of the game. And as you're playing Magic and you trigger abilities to venture into the dungeon, you will proceed down this pretty much what looks almost like just like a tree. So you start on the top at the cave entrance and you get to Scry 1. Scry 1 or Scry is a specific Magic ability. So for those of you who are not familiar, it allows you to look at the top card of your deck. So this is Scry 1, so you just look at the top one card. You can choose to keep it on top or put it underneath the deck. So it's a great filtering or foresight added in there. Now, when you venture again, you'll notice that there are 2 rooms that are adjacent to each other. You're going to have to choose which path you're going to take when you venture a second time. So the Goblin Lair will give you a 1/1 red Goblin token, while the Mine Tunnels will create a treasure token. And then you pretty much proceed until you get to the bottom. So there's the Temple of Dumathon? Okay, Dumathon. I'm going to say just Dumathon. I don't know. It sounds cooler. But you see, when you get to the bottom, you draw a card, and this dungeon is officially completed. Now, going back to the example that I gave earlier, Nadar here is that when he enters the game or when he attacks, you get to venture, which means that you proceed down the path of that dungeon until you get to the bottom. And once you do, other creatures you control get +1/+1 as long as you've completed the dungeon. So using this Lost Mine as an example, that's about 1, 2, 3, 4 steps to complete it, and then you're done. You have completed a dungeon. There are other cards that have been spoiled that have additional abilities or do things when you complete a dungeon. And there are also other effects that help you continue to venture into a dungeon. Actually, they also just recently put out a Planeswalker that has abilities driven by or pretty much working around the dungeons. Once you complete the dungeon and moving forward, you have an ability that lets you venture again. You can actually do the same dungeon all over again, or you can try any of the other 2. So here's a sample. This is the Tomb of Annihilation. This is something that a lot of advanced D&D players are familiar with. So this has a lot of lore behind it, the purpose of why it was created, all the way back to Gary Gygax. So it's it's a great nod to D&D lore. The other or third dungeon is the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. This one has a lot of steps. So it starts off from the Yawning Portal, and it's pretty much, I think, the most complicated one from all of the dungeons. So there are three at the moment, as I've shown you on screen. It's really up to you which ones you want to navigate through. But essentially, this is like having a mini game outside of your magic match that gives you abilities that let you gain life, let you scry, let it create tokens for you. So you can use this and incorporate it into your Magic the Gathering matches. But you need to have at least a solid amount of cards that have the venture ability. Otherwise, you may not really get any of the benefits out of this. So I really think that this is going to be benefiting standard play because you're allowed to have four of a kind. So you can have four of the same card that lets you venture through. And once you take that over to other formats of Magic, like again, as I mentioned at the start, I play Commander, which is 100 card singleton. So this set that's about to come out may not have a lot of venturing cards that will justify having this. So it's a little fiddly because it's a side game in while you're playing a Magic match, but you can't deny that just getting free abilities, free scry, free life, free tokens just for having this thing in the side while you're playing Magic could have significant impact to how the game plays out. So I'm looking forward to see just how much impact it can bring to Magic. But in my format in particular, it's still something that will need more spoilers to decide if it's worth it. So that is the unique mechanical ability that they have revealed. In previous sets, they did in Zendikar Rising introduce the party ability. So it requires you to have certain number of creature types. And now that they're doing a D&D set, they're definitely going to be leveraging on different types of creatures, which I think will play well into the party mechanic. But we haven't really seen if it is going to be added into this set just yet. Now, going back to other things that you want to expect, this is really more for, again, the art and flavor people. This is going to be a first, but what they decided to do also for the D&D set is that they have modified the basic lands. Basic lands of Magic have gotten to the point that there's no more text on the cards. It just has the symbol of the mana they produce. So, the samples that you are seeing here are the 5 basic lands, and typically it just has the symbol of what they produce, and it's already an understood thing that if you turn them sideways, they produce that. For this set, they put in flavor text in the cards that tell of stories of different adventures. So this may come from the novels, this may come from modules or campaigns, but this hasn't really been done for basic lands ever in Magic. It doesn't add anything else to their abilities. It's just more for people who like the aesthetics and the scenery that is depicted on these artworks would definitely be D&D related. You might recognize some locations based on like description, like finally seeing it visualized on art, or even that the text itself references a story that you know. So they added this in again as another nod to fans. So there is the artwork, there is the paperback book covers. They're adding in the mechanic of dungeons, and of course naming it after famous campaigns, and then a little bit of flavor text into the basic lands. So we are now about maybe 17 cards spoiled out of the full list, which is expected to be at around 281. So it's just a fraction of what's out there now. They could put so much more information. They recently did actually double in numbers for the spoilers, but it was the basic lands, and there's like 3 lands per type. So we're looking at 15 cards that were spoiled, but they're just basic lands and they just have flavor text. So I'm not really counting them towards the information on the set. It's still very early, but I felt like I wanted to cover this today to show people what they could expect. Again, it's going to be July 23. So It's not that far away. Prepare your wallets. All right. Then pretty much to close this, this is another I'm going to say auxiliary product, so to speak, that they're pairing together with the Dungeons and Dragons set. Oh, another comment. Hey. Okay. How do you track yourself in dungeons? Good question. You know what? Let's jump back just a little bit. So, using this as an example, you're definitely gonna need like a little, like a token. And what Magic has done in the past, like in the Amonkhet set, they made -1/-1 counters and brick counters. It was printed on cards that were perforated, which means that you could actually rip the cards and create tokens. So I have a feeling that they're going to be doing the same, that they're going to create paper tokens that you can use with this. And then I'm so sure people are going to make premium tokens just for the purposes of tracking where you are in these dungeons, and they're going to make money. So look out for that. But thanks for the question, Kyo. So where I was closing at now is along with this D&D set coming out on July 23rd, they also did a recent announcement for the next Magic the Gathering Secret Layer Super Drop. Secret Layers are specialty art cards that they are really meant for collector purposes. That this is for fans of specific genres of art, specific artists, or that when they have themes for the artwork, and that kind of leads to what they're adding into Magic the Gathering. They are putting out a set for the Secret Layer, otherwise known as Saturday Morning D&D, and it will be 6 cards. These are already existing cards, so Hero's Downfall was from Theros, Impact Tremors, War of Invention was from the Kaladesh set, Commander Sphere is a famous commander card. So this is 6 cards that will be part of a single Secret Layer set that are all themed towards the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon series. So it doesn't necessarily have direct correlation to the set that's coming out, but it's just another nod to all of the fans of D&D. If not for the books, this is for the animated series. So that's something to look forward to as well. The Secret Layer information, though, is they did put this out for a super drop, meaning that you could buy the entire set. I don't have all of the dates at the moment, but if you are interested in just alternate art for famous Magic cards, you may want to consider this, especially if you're a fan of the D&D animated series. And so that is pretty much our preview for the Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering crossover set, Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. We have, again, notable legends printed in paper form, very famous villains in D&D lore, also like translated over to cards. They also have the sketch version of them as a showcase artwork. There is the extended art that will be coming out for all of the artworks as well. And then the lands have the D&D module covers, followed by the dungeon mechanic. So that's going to be unique to the set. And the basic lands have flavor text, and there is a supplemental product for the D&D animated series for those of you that are fans of it. So this is pretty much the end of it. End of the episode. I'll try to prepare more information once the spoilers start coming out. So it's very early, but definitely wanted to share it. Make sure that if people were excited about it, that they were informed. And hey, look at that. We're under 30 minutes. Thank you for those of you who joined. 7 views. That's cool. And comments. Not that much for the Magic the Gathering content. Now, if you guys do want specific Magic content covered, please be sure to comment on this video so that I can see, take your feedback, and add that into the next Sunday's episode. This has been Sunday Night Magic. Thank you for viewing. Keep gaming.